The Gorecast is brought to you by American Horrors, the greatest uncut horror channel in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all horror. As well as the station of decapitation without your head.
America's longest running horror channel, www.withoutyourhead.com.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
What's up, Gorecasters? Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Buzz and Carter with Chris Dawn show. And we are so lucky this week. We have something super special. We have the amazingly talented Matt Sampere here with us. He is the director, producer, writer, editor, and star of Creeping Death. I might have missed a role that you took on for this movie because holy shit, man, you took on so many roles. I don't even know how you did it all. But welcome, Matt. We are so happy to have you here today.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for bringing me on. And yeah, there were probably a few roles you've forgotten there. I think I've forgotten them too. And one, I was definitely in had my hands in every single department on this movie, and it was insane.
Yeah, you had your hands full, and man, I gotta say, I am so impressed. You did so much. Like, we'll definitely get into, how you took on all those roles, but it is so great to have you here today. We were so excited to talk about this movie. I remember watching it I think it was like right after Halloween. I found it and I was like, oh, I want to check out this movie. I think it's going to be really cool. And it was such a fun movie, man. I loved every minute of it. I could go on and on about the cinematography, the writing, the story, just the design of the creature. You killed it, man. It was such a great movie.
Thank you. It was, this thing's been a labor of love for so many years, and I never thought it was going to come to fruition. I mean, I started trying to do this 7-8 years ago and just kept trying and failing, and walked away from it for so long, and finally gave it one more go, and I said, I'm not letting go of the restraints till this fucking thing's done.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
To have it out there now, I'm just like...
Make it breathe.
Yeah.
It's out there, and it's being received so well too, man. Like it's a love letter to the Halloween season, and it screams love for the Halloween lovers out there. So it's fantastic. I love watching it. I've watched it a few times after watching it the first time. It's a favorite.
Thank you. No, that means so much, really, because I wanted to make something that we every year we get all these Christmas movies, all these Hallmark movies, and I'm like, there's not a lot of Halloween movies coming out every year. Like, I love Halloween themed movies. Like, I love the Halloween franchise, obviously, but my favorite horror movies tend to be based around the holiday, and there just weren't enough. And
oh no,
you want to dive into it and make something that people would want to revisit every year because it just feels like it just has that Halloween spirit and feel, and that's what I wanted to make.
It does. From the lights to the shadow work. Oh my gosh, the scene on the stairs is fantastic, man. It gives me Psycho Halloween vibes. I'm in it in that scene alone. The shadow work, perfection. Like it's amazing to watch.
You're talking the shot going up the stairs?
Yes, with the shadows, with you holding the knife, man. Oh my gosh, I was blown away by those shots.
Before I even wrote the movie, the version that came out to be, I had this idea, because originally, the original draft, I know this isn't like a question you asked, but going to the top, the original draft of the movie, the original couple versions had nothing to do with the mom or the family or anything. It was just a straight up 80s slasher. I had no idea what I was writing. But and when I walked away from the project, it took a lot for me to want to come back. But then I thought about this scene. It just randomly clicked in my head. I'm like, how cool would it be to see a movie where the hero, if you will, has to become the villain, right? And what does that look like, and how can we show that? And for some reason, the shot, the shadow just going up. You know, how can we like hide what the character is like feeling and stuff and make it seem more mysterious and menacing? And I'm like, oh my god, like that shot in Nosferatu, like that is a total
Yes.
like my homage to the Nosferatu shot where he's going up the staircase with the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the first shots I had in mind before I even wrote the script. I'm like, I want the shot in there. I don't know how, but like once I got this idea about like kind of having like this hero in this movie, and then I was like, okay, what if I mix this kind of concept and stuff in with the Ishi? Because I always had the idea of the Ishi in the movie taking place on Halloween, stuff like that. I'm like, how can I put these two kind of ideas together where we have to see like, you know, where it's more of like a drama about this guy that has to like overcome something, and in turn that turns him into what could be perceived as the bad guy. And how do
See, actually, that was my favorite part, the struggle that the hero had to go through and wondering if he was going to make that change, if he was going to stay the lane. I actually really, really dug that part.
Thank you. That was my favorite parts about like wanting to do this is like I wanted there to be, I guess, in some, you know, some type of message, and like what would the audience do? Who are they going to connect with? There's a lot of people who are like, oh, fuck that character, he's an asshole. I wouldn't even. And there's other people that are like, yeah, you know what, in that situation, and that's like, whether you agree or disagree with it, I wanted it to be something that people could really like think about when they're watching it. And there's just such polar opposite reactions to it, which is great.
Yeah. I love that internal battle that you see, and you see it like it's written all over your face. You can tell what your character is like having this internal battle of good, bad. Are you going to do it? Are you going to save your friends? Are you going to save your mom? Or I felt it, the tension of it, the sweat that was pouring on you. I felt all the intensity in that scene. It is such a beautiful scene. It's heartbreaking because you want Tim to, you know, you don't want Tim to do it, but you also, you got your friends, you've got like the outside influence that's like telling you this is how you save everyone else around you. Is one life worth more than a couple lives? I think it's just a beautiful scene, and it's written so well. It's executed so nicely. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Thank you. No, that was, you know, just something I always wanted to see, because like, you know, when you're watching a lot of these movies, especially in slashers, there's not a lot of character development, you know. And again, like I love all the slashers, 70s, 80s up to night. I mean, even up to modern day. But I felt like a lot of the older ones didn't have character development. You're just watching people go and get slaughtered, which is fine. You know, we love that. But I'm like,
yeah,
something more. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to like feel like they can connect to these characters, because you know that's, you know, what's going to make these characters stand out. And it's going to be like, you know, what they're going through and how they get through these issues. That's really going to pull you in, as opposed to you watch some of these other you know, these other older horror movies and stuff like that. You don't get to know who these characters are. You get introduced to them quickly, and then they just go off and do their thing, and there's no real story to follow, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's usually one of my biggest problems, is not being able to attach. So when a character dies, it's like, I didn't really know Bob. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I wanted this to be like, whether I either wanted people to like, I wanted them to feel something when these characters died, whether it's thank God that person's finally off screen, they were annoying as hell, or oh no, I didn't want that person to die, or maybe not that badly. And like, you know, I think the thing I was trying to go for, especially with Nate's character, is King Joffrey in Game of Thrones. It's like, I couldn't wait for that fucker to die.
Oh, dude.
I
was hoping it would be horrible.
What it was, because I'm like, I can't wait anymore. Kill him. Just kill him. He was so good at that role that he really made you hate him. And I kept trying to find that, and I finally watched the episode. Yes. Oh, it was so rewarding. And so I wanted you know, it's a lot harder to do that in a 90-minute film compared to a whole series where you get to see who these people are.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, you know, I was trying to work towards that with some of these characters. You know what I mean?
I definitely felt that with Nate. Like, you know, he's the one you want to hate in the movie. He's the asshole, and he's the one who tries to get Tim to do it, and it's like gets in his head about it. But like at the same time, you know, we all have that person that's always like me first. So right. I love that, seeing that like his character have like more than just a 5-minute scene. It was like, you got to see Nate be the, he wants to do the YouTube, he wants the subscribers. You see that like he really is just like very narcissistic about himself. And then you get to see him really shine in his villain era of being like, you know what you have to do. Do it. Save us all. Like, it's honestly, I liked all the characters because I feel like we can all kind of relate to those kind of friends that you have, like the one who does something dumb that you're like, dude, you're gonna fuck this all up for all of us. And then you've got the friend that's just like very self-centered. You've got me. I love PJ. I'm not gonna lie, I loved PJ. I loved how she was just like, look, if you won't do it, I will do it. I've got the balls to do it. And I was like, okay, I like you. Like, so I really enjoyed the characters. I thought it was like all the characters kind of rounded out this beautiful story of like, what would you do in this situation? And I thought it was super awesome to see the different characters, and the character development was just great because you got to see these characters not only for like a little bit, but you got to see their personality come alive in every scene that they were in too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, you got to give these people personalities, and I want them all to be different. But how do how do their personalities lead them into what's happening? How do they get them in trouble or get them out of things? You know what I mean? And it's like you kind of can tell from who these characters are, like how things are going to go. You know what I mean? Kramer in Seinfeld is going to be the crazy one doing something stupid, which is going to mess up with Jerry and stuff like that. And it's like, because you know who these characters are, you can already see how things are going to fall into place. And that was like really important to me, is how can I make each one of these people have their own kind of traits? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you did a great job with it too, because these characters, whether you love them or hate them, they all have these big personalities. And they have great scenes. They all shine in different parts of it, and it really shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, they all make you feel something, regardless of like what it is. You feel something for each individual. You can, like you said, you can feel love, you can feel hate, you can feel like, get them off my screen, I'm done with them. But as long as they make you feel, then you succeed in what you want to do in making characters that people can engage with and like invest in. If you just had these broad characters that had nothing, you're just like, yeah, okay, cool. Like you said, you lose all if they do die or whatever, you're just like, whatever, I didn't care about this person. But regardless of how you make each individual character makes you feel, they all make you feel something. And that's a testament to the writing. So amazing job.
Thank you. And that's the thing. Without that too, there's no suspense. When the monsters come after people, it's like, who cares? We don't care if this person dies, so why do we care about leading up to the death or whatever? It's just kind of like, all right, just get it on with. How are they going to rip them apart next?
Oh yeah.
So it just, you need to have that to create the tension, create the suspense. Without that, you know what I mean? The whole scene with my character going, I'm assuming people that are going to be listening to this have seen the movie before, but it's like that whole scene with me going up to do the mom. If we don't set that up earlier and connect everybody with the mom, there's no tension, there's no suspense. Is my character going to do it? Is he not? Like, it would be gone, and it would just, you wouldn't be drawn into what's going to happen next.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely felt that with the connection between you and the mom. That was one of my favorite character connections in the movie, was how heartfelt that was with your mom, and we'll get into that later. But Buzz, do you want to start us off with some questions?
I do. So, what was your inspiration for the film?
So the inspiration was, I always wanted to make a Halloween themed movie. Obviously, like, I love the holiday so much that it's the one thing I look forward to every year. My place is, besides my background now, this is like the only Marvel themed like wall in the house. Everything else is just Halloween and horror movie stuff. But I live Halloween 24/7. And I just knew I wanted to dive into something about the lore that we haven't seen before. And one of the big ideas was like, with John Carpenter with the Halloween franchise was originally trying to do something every year where it was just a different Halloween themed story, and then obviously we know how Michael Myers took off. They tried Halloween 3, that didn't work out, and so they scrapped that idea. I'm like, God, what would it be like if they continue doing that? And so that's when I started looking into different folklore about the holiday. And that's where I heard about the Ishi, which are these, deities or spirits. They're described as like these different kind of like creatures, from the other world, and they come in our world every year during the harvest on Halloween to get, goods or clothing or whatever so that they can survive. And in turn, if you appease, the Ishi, they would then bless your crops and your village so that you'd have a bountiful harvest the following year. And that right there, and they were also, so that's where the tradition of trick-or-treating originated from. And I was like, how cool would this be? And it was right around the time when Krampus came out. And I remember, I always loved Trick-or-Treat. Trick-or-Treat's one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
But
yeah,
no one knew what Krampus was until that movie. I didn't know about this German folklore, about, this Santa demon thing, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until this movie came out. Now everyone knows what Krampus is, you know what I mean? And so it was right around this time. So I'm like, oh my God, no one. And I was looking this up. There wasn't a lot of information on the Ishi out there. And, I'm sure I've made some mistakes with this movie. We kind of just took the concept and then made it our own completely. But I was like, I haven't seen anything with this done before at all. I feel like there's a lot of room here to turn something into a horror movie. And that's where I was like, ooh, what if no one believed in the Ishi, no one's believing in Krampus or Santa or whatever, right? And these creatures had to start taking people to survive and ripping them from their homes and stuff like that. And I'm like, how cool would that be? And so that was kind of where the concept came from. And then again, I came up with this idea 7 years ago, and I didn't know how to write a script. I didn't know how to do much of anything with film. I shot one music video and it was on an iPhone, and it came out good. And so I thought, hey, if I can do a music video in one day, I can do a feature in couple days, because that's how realistic that was. And I don't need a whole crew. I had no idea. And
I can do it all by myself.
Yeah, right. And I mean, that's what I was kind of doing. I was recording on my iPhone. I would have a boom pole over my shoulder, and I'd be telling my friends all right, do this, do that, and it was not working out. And so, but I had this 30-page script. I didn't realize how long a script needed to be. I didn't know how to format a script. I didn't know anything. And so we started shooting this, and it was terrible. And the movie didn't even take place on Halloween. It took place 3 days leading up to Halloween. Quickly scrapped that because it was terrible. Got into film school, was trying to redo it again. I had a buddy of mine that was a writer kind of go through the script. He's like, here's what you need, here's what you don't need, blah, blah, blah. And so we were taking out gear every weekend to make this movie again. And it was not the version that came out. And we were shooting every weekend starting in August, leading all the way up to November. And, we're shooting in upstate New York where the weather is very unpredictable. And we shot 14 days. We had 2 more days of shooting that we needed, and then we would have been done. But it was going into November. It was getting colder. It was snowing, and we had to pause production. And I was like, all right, we'll just pick it up in the spring. And of course, all the scenes we needed to do were outside. Yeah. Kind of hard to do it when it's snowing and it's 30 degrees and everyone's wearing skimpy outfits. And so we tried picking it back up in the spring, and it just didn't work because people moved away. I got fat. People got tattoos, changed their hair, and the continuity would have been fucked. So I threw that idea out the window, and then it wasn't until years later, moving out to LA, I saw a test screening for Halloween Kills, and I loved Halloween Kills. Test screening blew my mind, and I went home, and there was there was something about Halloween Kills that felt different from every other slasher movie, because it felt like it had heart. It had, the character development that we want, and it pulled you in and made you really feel something for a lot of these people. And it just had a little bit more substance than we've seen in a lot of slasher movies before. And when I watched it, now the movie's out and people have their opinions. But when I first saw that test screening, I went in blind without a poster, without a trailer or anything. I was like, this movie's going to change the slasher subgenre. It's going to make people love these again. And so that's when I went home and just started trying to rewrite this movie from scratch. At this point I had been through film school, written scripts, shot short films. And that's what we tried doing from there on out.
Nice.
That's awesome. I love that Halloween Kills inspired you to write again, because I love that one. And I love that there's so much depth to that story, that it's not just Michael Myers killing people, that there's like this cool you see like the town turn into this like angry mob, like, and there's a my favorite quote is, "Now he's making us the monsters," or I might have like fudged that one a little bit, but it's something of that sort. And I love that. That's so cool. I love that inspired you to keep writing.
Yeah, and I went home that night and immediately just wrote, and again, that's the tone of Halloween, not the franchise, but like the feel of Halloween. And I went home that night and I wrote the brand new opening scene to Creeping Death. I didn't even know what the whole rest of the story was going to be, but I was just like, I need to make a movie scene that opens and it needs to be very Halloweeny. And I wrote the scene, and I love the opening scene that we wrote, and we cut it. We shot the scene and it came out not the way I expected. So there's an opening scene to Creeping Death that no one has ever seen. But it was so, if we had the proper budget to do it like properly, it would have been, it would have really, like, Terrifier 3 kind of did it, but it was almost along the lines with like kids and stuff like that, where it was this the Ishi, it was gonna be like this, whatever else. We had this like shot, it was gonna be like the opening of Halloween where it's a POV, but it's of the monster going through the house, going into the house. I'm not like spitballing right in your face, but like we see that the jack-o'-lanterns are out, so it's able to go into the house, and it goes in. And then this mom comes in with her kid after they're out trick-or-treating, and then the monster's going through the house all through the POV and like attacking them. We never do anything with the kid, but it's implied that we're going after the whole family, and he's taking him back into the other world that's part of the harvest. So anyways, it was going to be this really cool, like, big gory scene, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be insane, like, this is something I want to see. And we shot it, and it just was like not what we needed it to be. It was hard.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the sneak peek at the opening that I would love to see now. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the opening of the first one too. I like the one that's in the movie. I love that this guy is just giving away single pieces of candy corn. And the monster's hand is so cool looking. I love that. Yeah. It's just with the claws and everything. Perfect. Love it.
That was the last scene we shot, actually. Because we had, like I said, we shot this opening scene originally. And I cut it. It didn't work. People would have shut the movie off as soon as it started. And so originally, after I cut that, the movie just started right in the pumpkin patch. And it was like 40 minutes before it even plays like a slasher movie. And we premiered the movie in London without an opening scene, just getting right into the drama and everything. And it just didn't play well because of that, because you didn't know what you were getting into. And so after that, I was like, we need to shoot a new opening scene. At this point, we've been 2 years out from principal photography. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, before I put this out, like, I need something else. So my producing partner, Tyler, he came out to LA to visit, and we just shot. I'm like, screw it, dude. Let's get a little bit of money together. Let's just shoot a new opening scene. We need this. It's going to save this thing. And that's what we did. And we just threw this thing together in like a night. And I love that opening scene now. So, yeah, but I love it too. Style, because John, our DP, he shot the whole feature. But we had grown so much as filmmakers within that 2-year gap that, like, the opening scene to me is like very polished. The rest of the movie was very much run and gun because we were still trying to figure it out. And it's like, man, I wish we were able to reshoot the whole movie.
It still looks good, so.
Yeah, it does. It, like I said, the cinematography of it is one of my favorites. The orange lights, the orange clothing, the jack-o'-lantern. It screams Halloween season, and we love Halloween. So
yes, we do.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've already kind of talked about the Ishi, but like, based on the folklore, did you base the creature off the folklore that you were reading about and finding, or did you create your own version of the Ishi?
And that's, like I said, so when I first was researching it, there wasn't a lot out there. about the Ishi. Now that the movie's out, it keeps. I mean, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the movie, but now I'll go online and I'm researching things. I'm like, oh, I got that wrong. Oh. For the longest time, I didn't even know how to pronounce Ishi. There are, I thought it was pronounced AOC, or
yeah.
And that's what we kind of made a little joke at that in the movie when the first guy's like AOC, Yoshi, because and that's the thing. Even in real life, like if a group of kids are coming across this book, seeing this, they're probably like, I don't know how to say this. So I'm like, you know what? If characters mess it up, it's normal. But originally the lore was just like these creatures can be seen as like fairies or spirits or deities from this other world. Some are tall, some are short. And the main idea that I took from it was there's spirits that come in our world and they dress up in costumes to blend in with humans on Halloween. And that was what my main focus was on. And then I was like, okay, because it's a spirit, what if it is a spirit almost like a ghost in a costume in our world, and when it goes into its world, it's more of a physical being. And so that's where I started to kind of just like take my own creative liberties with it. And then as far as the creature design goes, that was like all like, let's just create something creepy as hell, and with what we have access to as well. So that the look of the monster didn't come from anything else per se. That was all kind of an original idea. And so my buddy Jim Falco, he's a mask maker back in New York, and so he makes a lot of like Michael Myers masks and stuff like that. And so I'm like, dude, I want the like I always knew I wanted the monster to have a jack-o'-lantern face, and I wanted to have glowing orange eyes. That was always the idea. Past that, we didn't really know. And so I was like, this is what I want it to look like. And so he drew up a couple sketches, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. What if we give him some hair? And he's like, well, what if we make it strangly? I'm like, cool. And what if he's like gray or something like that? Like, what can we do? And so we had this design, and we had a bunch of Michael Myers blank masks lying around. And so we just started messing around with it. And we literally took a Michael Myers mask and tried to make it our own. And it worked. And you couldn't tell from the original versions of it that it was a Michael Myers mask. And so we stuck with that. And then as far as like the wardrobe goes, in the original version that, none of this has ever been seen, but like, we were like, well, what's this thing wear? And I just went to like the thrift store because we're like running late to call time. And I'm like, let's just get an outfit. I don't care. Put it on him. And so we bought, this like trench coat, stuff like that. And put it on our actor. And it didn't, it was okay. I didn't love it. But when it came time to actually doing the movie for real, I was like, this guy is based on like Irish, Celtic folklore, Gaelic folklore. And like, let's have it be a little bit more inspired by that. Because my idea was that he's taking, it's taking clothing from previous victims and putting it together. And originally I wanted to do almost like a suit of flesh, or something from like fur or whatever, as if it's like, almost like it's using every part, like the Indians would do when they kill like, a buffalo, they're using every part of it, right? They're using its bones for tools, stuff like that. They're using the meat, they're using the fur as clothing. I want it to be something like that. Again, we didn't have the budget. And so that's where our costume designer, found an old leather couch. And she's like, well, we can't afford fur or any of this stuff. We can't afford real leather. But I found this leather couch, this real leather couch on the side of the streets. I'm going to go get this, and I'm going to rip all the leather off of it. And so then she made this like leather jacket, and then we got these like Celtic boots and stuff like that. And so that's where the design kind of started coming from. It was just based on like Celtic kind of outfits and kind of where this creature was getting its stuff from. I was thinking about that, and we didn't actually see what the look of the monster was going to be until our first kill scene, when our Alan Max and our monster actor showed up, and we put it all on him for the first time. I'm like, oh, so that's what this looks like.
I don't know. I think
amazing.
sometimes not having access to everything you want makes you get creative and come out with something that actually turns out better than what was originally planned.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And, that's the thing. This movie definitely taught me that you can go in so over-prepared. And it's a good thing, but I feel like it's also a bad thing, because I saw the movie, like I had the movie shot listed in my head. I knew exactly how I wanted everything to cut together. I saw the edit before we even went into production. And once we started shooting, I was so attached to that idea that when schedules had to change or things didn't work out, we had to, replan everything. And it was so hard for me to rethink how to do some of these scenes because I only saw it one way for so long. I've been living with the script in my head for a year or two before we actually shot it. So now it's like you're on the day and it's like, hey, you think you're shooting it this way, this way, this way. You have 15 shots you need to get. Now you only have time for 3. How do you tell us shots? And I'm like, when you're doing so many roles and now you have to think about how to make your day, it's like it's hard to get out of that mindset. But now you have, I kind of go in like with a loose plan on things. I'm like, I'd love to get this, but I need to plan and allow myself to rethink other things. So I try not to get too attached to ideas now.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, totally. I love that a leather couch was the inspiration for the outfit for the Ishii, and which, by the way, I totally fucked that word up a couple of times. Like I rewatched the movie a couple of days ago and I was like, oh, it's Ishii. I thought it was like Aoshi or something. Yeah. Totally fucked it up.
I said it wrong for the longest time. I'm sure someone out there is still gonna tell me I'm wrong, but as far as I know, we talk to people that speak the language and they're like, no, it's Ishii. So, but
okay.
I'm sure people, tomato, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I am, because like she asked a question about the Ishii, and I'm just like, that's not like, are we reading the same question? I'm like, that's not how it looks like on my sheet here. And then so yeah, I could definitely.
Yeah, I was the same way. I saw the name. I'm like,
she's skipping questions.
No, I was like, thank God that's not my question because I'm not going to pronounce it right.
Look, I had to make sure that I said it right, so I have a pronunciation of it on my outline of it. I didn't want to mess up and be like Aoshi. What is that?
Yeah. Well, and we were originally, because, the title for the movie just came from, I'm a big metalhead, and I was listening to a lot of Metallica, and we were going to do this Jeepers Creepers type thing where anytime, like, well, in the original version of the movie, these characters are driving down the road, and then right before they almost, like, die, the bridge to the song Creeping Death by Metallica comes on.
Oh.
It kind of played like a Jeepers Creepers type thing, and so I just put that the running title just to put something on the title page. And it just kind of stuck. But originally I was thinking about changing the name to Ishii. But everyone's like, how the fuck do you pronounce that? What the hell is that? And I knew it was just going to confuse people.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that. And I'm glad I didn't do that because I'm curious, like, if people would, like, stop to watch. Because I know, like, this movie has gotten a lot of love kind of from the metal community in a way because of the name. So I'm grateful for that. But Ishii, people would be like, what the hell is that? It's not like Krampus.
Right.
It's a little bit easier to pronounce. And more common lore now. But the Ishii, people are still like, what?
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one because I had no idea what Ishii was. And then after watching it, I did a little bit of research and I was like, oh, okay. I get it now. I had no idea that this was what influenced trick-or-treating. The things you learn when you actually do your research, Yeah.
And again, I wish there was more of this information out there now or then, because when I was researching it, there were like only a couple articles that I could find. And I was buying all these books on Amazon about Halloween, trying to find out more. And there wasn't a lot. And now I'm seeing a lot more after the movie's out. And I'm like,
I don't know though. Like, I feel like that's kind of a pat on the back for you though. Because like you said, you're like, who's Krampus until Krampus came out. Now we have so many Krampus films and so many people kind of writing to that. Here you go. You've launched your version. And now all these people are getting introduced to this character. You now may have inspired other people to start writing towards the next big thing.
Yeah. No, and I hope so. I hope that, the story that I have with getting this thing made, I wouldn't have made my thing if not for Terrifier. Those guys just going out there and doing their thing really just inspired me to get going and do this because it felt impossible. And seeing the success that they continuously had, kept, lighting the fire under me to keep going as well. And so I hope that, me getting this made will hopefully inspire somebody else to go and, go out there and do their thing and try it. Cause what else do we have? It's hard to get things made, but, I think you got to find your influence somewhere. And for me, the Terrifier guys were, the ones doing it at the time. It's such a small level and being able to achieve success with it. So I'm hoping that this will help people realize, like, you can still get things made, not necessarily on your own, but if you work hard enough, you can figure it out and get it there.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, great message there for sure. Because the Terrifier started off as like a small short. Actually, I think there was a couple of shorts that inspired Terrifier, and then the first movie came out, and it didn't get the reception that it was. Like a lot of people didn't even know about it, and then the second one came out, and all of a sudden you've got like a whole Terrifier community now. It's bigger than like. It's one of the biggest horror franchises we have right now. And it's nice to see horror revived in that way. So there's no doubt in my mind, I would love another Creeping Death. I'd love to know what happens to Tim after that, like, Friday the 13th kind of ending that you gave us.
Someone got it. Yeah.
Yes!
No one understands. Everyone's like, I don't understand the ending. Like, did he kill everybody? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's totally like, when I was writing it, I'm like, this is such a Friday the 13th ending right here. No one ever talked about that. I'm glad someone gets it.
Yes, I got it. I was like, he's in the ambulance, and it's just like at the end of Friday the 13th, and it's like, it was perfect for me. I thought it was the coolest way to do it because, maybe his dad didn't know, nobody knew about the Ishi. So like, it almost feels like you're fabricating this whole story. Like, we only found you, and it's like, dun, 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 what's going to happen next? Like, I would love a sequel.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I would, I definitely, I'm starting to get the wheels spinning a little bit on where the story goes. I have some ideas, but, I'm like, this first one, like, just burned me out so much, cause, doing all these roles. And I'm like, when I do the next one, God, I'm already talking like I'm going to do it.
I don't know, but I mean,
is this a Gorecast exclusive?
When and if another one happens, it needs to be with, I need to have more money to bring on a bigger team so that I don't have to wear a million hats. I'm sure I'll still wear a million hats, but I would want to do it right. And
it's different having to check into those places than having to fully run all of those spots like you did here.
Right. Yeah. Oh, exactly. And luckily, like it did, with this one, there were a lot of people that came on board to help on a lot of different aspects. I mean, even something as simple as, not that it's simple, but, the set design, the living room where I'm like watching the TV and stuff like that. The day of that shoot, like, we didn't have anybody specific to come and like set up decorations and whatnot and do the set design. Like, we had a bunch of our team and stuff coming every now and then, but there's no one designated to that. And so the day of that shoot, when we were shooting that scene, it was empty. The whole place was empty. I had all the decorations, but I didn't have the time to set them up. And people are showing up to, we shot that at my dad's house, and people were going to be showing up in 30 minutes. I still got to figure out the shot list for the day because I have to change everything. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh my God, our whole background is blank. And, one of our friends, Carlin Twist, I mean, she wore so many hats on this too. She showed up, she brought a crew with her, and she's like, don't worry, we got this, and set up the whole background. And I loved how it came out. But it's like, there's little things like that where you don't realize how much time it's going to take. You really need to have somebody that can just focus on that. Because if that's being taken care of, then if you're just directing, you can just focus on being creative. And when you're doing small things like that, it's hard to manage all of those departments.
Yeah, you took on so much with this movie. It was incredible. Like, I watched a couple other interviews, and I was like, oh my God, he did the editing while also acting and did the writing, and then you're producing, and then you were like all over the place. That is incredible that you took on so much for this movie, especially being the lead too. Like, you weren't like one of the friends, you were the lead. How was that?
It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. No, I mean, I always wanted to, I love acting, and I've always been a performer, and I've been in bands for, since I was a teenager. And so I knew I wanted to explore acting and getting in front of the camera. I always kind of wanted to play like a Bruce Campbell, Ash Williams type character. And in a way I was like, okay, I can come out to LA and hustle my ass off and take acting classes and do everything in hopes of getting a role like this. But that doesn't mean if I put in the work, that's still going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I could get a role for something else or whatever. Like, I would hope something like that could come. And I'm like, or I can just do my own thing and write my own project and just play it myself, because that's what I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't expect. I mean, I'm so grateful for the movie to be getting out there now and whatnot. But going into this at first, it was kind of just like, I just want to make something. I just play something, and if it goes on YouTube or whatever, cool. And then it became much more serious, obviously, into what it was. But originally, I just wanted to play a role like that, just for the fun of it. Even if it was just for a short film, which we did the short film, which is on YouTube. But I also realized it's so fucking hard to be in front of the camera, like playing this lead, playing this character, and, especially like being in a group of people. Like, I was around so many talented actors who were all so much better than me. And it's like, I have to be behind the camera, directing them, say, all right, I want you to do this. And all of a sudden I have to get on set with them and be in front of the camera and be like, all right, now I'm just your best friend. You know what I mean? And it was like, I couldn't, it was so hard for me to, granted, because I wrote it, I knew the lines already in my head. I didn't even have to memorize them anymore. But it was really difficult for me to just, I think, more focus on the directing and really like just get into the scenes a little bit more emotionally, like I would have liked to. The acting kind of came a little bit easier because my character is just stressed out all the time, and I was very much stressed out making them. But it was just so much pressure because I couldn't allow myself to kind of be in the moment with just the directing or just the acting. While I was on set acting, I was thinking about the next shot and when we have to get out of this scene and we only have too many takes. And then when I'm just directing, I'm like, oh my God, what are my lines for this next bit? And what, blah, 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 blah. And so it was a lot of pressure, and I should have just played one of the friends that got killed off early so that I could just focus on one thing. So, maybe if I do a sequel, kill myself off.
Make it easy for yourself, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Carter, I think you had a question about, what did Matt prefer about, did he like being behind the camera more, being in front of the camera? Did you?
Excuse me. Sorry.
Oddly enough, that was my question, actually.
Yeah.
Being in front of or behind the camera. Obviously, like we pointed out, you've done the writing and what have you. Do you find that you have a preference, or do you want to kind of keep, not necessarily in the same project like you pointed out, but do you have a preference that you wouldn't mind kind of keep doing this, or pick a spot?
I really, I love both aspects of it. I love, being able to be creative and having, seeing my vision kind of come to life and shooting and figuring out how we can get certain shots or whatever, and just kind of leading the team. Obviously that's more challenging and stuff, but I also love just being able to get lost in a role, in a character. And so, I mean, for me, it's like, I would love to continue acting more in other people's projects where I can just dive into something, as opposed to then having to worry about all the logistical parts. But as far as like directing, again, I wouldn't want to put myself in front of the camera unless it's a very tiny role. It's so hard for me to say, like, would I just rather do one or another? Because I love them both equally. Because, I mean, to me, like, I'm a creative. I love all aspects of filmmaking. And for me to say, like, one or the other, like, they all kind of go hand in hand for me. And, I feel like the best directors also know how to be really good editors and really good actors. And being a good actor means you know how to, kind of how lenses work and, and how directing works. And so it's, for me, that all just goes hand in hand. And I just want to keep continuing to do both, just separating the two per project.
See, I love that, because like you pointed out, to be one, you should kind of be aware of the other. And I believe that's true. And I think that's kind of what makes somebody, passion has so much of a level to it, but then knowledge is also something that kind of brings that all together.
Exactly. You know, it's like I don't want to like give up one or another, because then I feel like I'd be taking a step back. It's like the more I learn as an actor, it's going to help me as a director. The more I learn as a director,
Right.
better as an actor. You know, when I first started acting, I didn't know the differences between lenses or whatnot. And like the reason why you need to know is because like if you know like they're on a 150 lens or whatever, like you don't have a lot of movement depending on what the shot is, and you need to know like it's going to help whoever is directing you. If you're just acting, like it's going to help them if you already know like, hey, I know this is my frame, I don't need to move too much. Where a lot of people will just show up and not know like, hey, how do you land your mark? Or, and this is more talking about like getting into it and like when you're coming on new to acting or whatever, but like, so I'm not the most experienced actor, but knowing these little things, knowing what the camera's going to do, knowing what your frame is and stuff like that really help you when you're trying to just like do a scene, as opposed to you get on set, you don't know anything about it, and then you're moving around like crazy, and then director has to come and be like, wait, we're really tight, don't do this. And it just helps really helps the director. And if I can communicate with actors better, like it all just goes hand in hand, knowing everything as much as you can about all the departments.
Yeah, I dig that you want to keep growing your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think that's really cool that you are working on acting, directing, producing. You have all these different hats of knowledge and experience, and I think that's just really cool to have.
And yeah, I'm always trying to learn. There's so much out there to learn, and I'm, and I still feel so green going into this. I've been working in the industry now for 6-7 years now, but I'm always learning so much. There's always so much to learn, and then there's new tools that come out, there's new ways to do things, and now with AI coming out, it's like, okay, how can we keep going and doing this and creating stuff with the way the industry is changing, and also make it survivable. And for me as well, just not even on my own creating or my own making my own projects, but like I'm able to survive in this industry helping other people make stuff because I know how to do X, Y, Z. I'm not just being paid as a director or an actor, whatever. I also edit. I also work as a camera operator. I can do all of these things that just help me to survive, and also know, again, when I'm doing my own projects, how things need to go and be run, and what is needed, to help produce that.
So to kind of look like a little bit of piggyback off of that, like, since you've done both sides, like what kind of like actors or directors kind of like inspired you like to either do this role, or just in general, like ones that you've been watching for a while, like before you started, acting and directing and stuff like that?
I mean, Spielberg is definitely, my all-time favorite director. And then right behind Spielberg would be Carpenter. And I love Rob Zombie. Fucking love Rob Zombie. And
see, he's a hit and miss with me, like 50-50.
I don't love all of his movies, but I love, I love the Firefly trilogy. I love Halloween.
Yes.
I love his style, and how gritty it is and whatnot, and the brutality of his stuff. And when I go back and like, even I watched the remake of Halloween so many times when I was going into shooting, and even when I was editing, I was studying how they cut it. And that movie is so brutal, but if you watch it back, there's really not, even though there's a lot of blood and stuff, it's also not that gory. A lot of the gore is kind of implied if you really pay attention to it. Not like Terrifier. And so I'm like, man, I thought this movie was much more graphic than it is, but it's all just his style and how the camera is moving, how the music is and cutting is going with it to make it feel that more intense. And where the hell was I going with this? But that's it. But I love that style, how he's able to make things feel much more graphic and intense without always having to show that. And so that was really inspiring to me and really helped me kind of, at least get this movie through post-production. And same with Terrifier, seeing how I was studying the hacksaw scene from the first Terrifier, because when you're watching, you're not even thinking about the editing. You're watching this really happen, but then you're thinking like, okay, how did they cut this together? Because obviously it's not a real girl, but how did they cut it to make it work? And so I studied that over and over and over. but yeah, Rob Zombie, John Carpenter, Spielberg were always my favorite directors. And then I worked with David Bruckner on a movie called The Night House. I don't know if you guys saw that. And I had coffee with him after we wrapped one day. And I was asking him, I'm like, I really want to do this as a career. I've always been told I should only be focusing on one thing. If I want to be a director, just focus on directing. If I want to be a writer, just focus on writing. And I'm like, well, I want to learn all these things. And so I asked him, I'm like, what should I do if I have interest in doing all these things? He's like, the more you know, the better you're going to be. And he's like, I think if you want to learn to act, you should continue doing that too. And he was kind of one of the first people to say to me, like, learn it all. And so that was really inspiring to me as far as like, where to go with my career, because until that, I was always told focus on one thing. And if I was just focusing on one thing, I don't think I'd be surviving right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Carter, I think you had a pretty good question to follow up with that about you wanted to ask Matt. So
Yeah, do you have any future projects coming up that we should be keeping a lookout for?
So I, like I said, I get to do a lot, I get hired on to a lot of other people's projects. And I do a lot of camera work on some of these. And so I did just get to be a part of a couple very cool projects, a feature and a music video. I can't say much about either of them right now. But I, just to be on set and help kind of bring other people's ideas to life, and especially on projects like much bigger than anything I've ever done on my own, is so inspiring to me. But to see how to do things at a bigger level, to then help take that knowledge and bring it back to making anything I may personally do even better and bigger. But so I've got a couple projects that I was a part of coming out. I don't know when they're going to come out, but hopefully within the year. And I'm really excited for people to see the stuff that I got to be part of, even though it's not my own creation. But as far as, my own stuff goes, it's time to, we're finishing up, actually this week, I'm finishing up on the final bonus features for the Creeping Death Blu-ray. Once that's off my plate and I can put this first movie to bed, because that's the thing, even though the movie's out, there's still other things that I have to do with it, you know what I mean, before it's completely like behind me in a way. I don't think it'll ever be fully behind me, but once that bonus feature is done, I want to start maybe seeing where the story could go next.
yay!
We'll see. If it seems like the audience is really there for it and wanting it, then I'd love to continue exploring these characters and, and make something that I hope could really, the goal going into this was I wanted to, obviously it's a big statement. Like I wanted to come into this making a franchise. I wanted to come into it making your own IP and make a monster that hopefully people want to continue seeing across, series.
I definitely think the Ishii needs to be seen again in something.
Yes.
So like it's such a cool design, and that first shot of the Ishii in Creeping Death is one of my favorites. It is so breathtaking. Yeah, that one, man. That is sick. That shot alone is just like, whoa. I just zoned in and I was like, holy shit, that is terrifying to see.
That shot, like I was surprised to see how many times that shot was getting used and reshared, and people used it for artwork, not even for like stuff talking about the movie, but people were just using it to talk about like, oh, here's the latest horror movie that came out, and here's the latest Halloween theme movies, and it was always that shot. And I, that was another one where I knew going into making the movie, like I wanted to kind of have the Jaws approach with the monster, where I didn't want to show the monster too early. I didn't want to show all of it. I just wanted to show a little bit of it going across, and then finally lead up to the full unveiling of it. And there was that shot just came to mind where I'm like, how cool would it be if we just see him in silhouette? And we didn't even have this archway originally that he was hiding under. Like he was just standing there and he's gonna be backlit and be the silhouette creature. And then my aunt let us take a bunch of her like Halloween decorations to set up in the front yard, and we had this archway, and like boom, he's standing under it. It's perfect. And that shot couldn't have came together any more perfectly. And I'm just, I don't know. To me, when I think of this movie, like if this movie's ever to become, a cult classic or whatever, I feel like that shot is going to be the one that people always think about.
Oh yeah,
definitely helped me making our poster for the episode, because that's the shot that I used. Perfect.
Yeah,
it was just the easiest shot because like you had the center, so it was easier for me to put everybody in, because like I could put everybody to the sides and have that shot right there in the middle. So I thank you for that shot.
No problem.
Made my job easy.
You're welcome. That's fun.
All right. Well, Buzz, let's get into it.
So, actually, so tell us about like the upcoming physical release. Like when is it coming out and all that stuff? Let our audience know about all of the Creeping Death physical release.
So we are going to have a copy coming out, a Blu-ray of it. Hopefully it'll be late April, early May, sometime around May. You know, I wanted it to come out sooner, but I also want there to, you know, I have so much content, you know, from this movie, from the original draft of it 7 years ago when we first started shooting, all the way up to when we actually shot the movie. There's so much behind the scenes stuff. And for me, as a collector of physical media, I want bonus features. I want to see how these movies were made. And, you know, that's how I got into filmmaking, was watching the making of Jurassic Park, the making of Jaws. And so I want there to be all these features on the Blu-ray. Problem is, someone has to make them. And who's going to make them? So I have been doing that when I have time to, and you know, I'm very grateful. This year has been very busy for me so far, and so you know, I have one final bonus feature I want to cut together and kind of put a lot of the early versions of Creeping Death in there, some like footage that was never seen, maybe something from that opening scene, and just really have a cool kind of little making a featurette, because that's what I would want if I was buying, you know, this movie. And so I don't want to put it out until I have something like that. I could put it on because we do have a lot of stuff that's going to go on there, but once I have this final thing, it's going to be coming out, or we'll have more of a release date planned. So, but right now it's looking about probably May, I would say, and I'm excited to finally get it out there for everybody and have my own copy to put on my shelf.
That was awesome. Because like you, I'm a fan of physical copies. Even if I haven't watched it in a while, I can still it's there on my wall. I can grab it whenever I want to. I love the physical copy part of everything.
Yeah. I love holding it. I love opening up the artwork, or, you know, the case and seeing the artwork on the disc. I love reading everything on the back. I don't know. There's just something about physical media, like owning it just feels cool. You know, whenever I put on like a movie at my house, like when I'm watching the Blu-ray or whatever, I put it like front and center on my, like, you know, on my shelf or whatever, on my entertainment console, and it's just like right there underneath the TV. I don't know.
Dude, no. Okay. It sounds weird, but I do the same thing. Kind of like a little mini advertising of this is what you're watching.
Right. Just for myself, or, you know, if I post a story to my Instagram, it's like, yeah, look at this. So
yeah.
Like, it sounds weird, but it's a weird, fun thing to do.
It is. I like it being displayed.
Yeah, I love looking at my physical media. I like looking at the artwork. I like holding the Blu-ray, DVD. It just feels good, you know? Like, you could just buy it on streaming, but like, where's the fun in that? It's
oh yeah.
There's a lot of artwork and creativity that goes into these that like deserve to be seen and be shown off, you know, and appreciate it.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I was going to point out was the artwork. It's just having that cover there, you know. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll go out in my living room and I'll just like look. I'll just stare at my DVD collection for like
yeah,
an hour, and I'm just like,
that's mine.
Yeah, I've got that. I'm like, oh, I don't have this. Oh, I don't have that. Oh, I should fill in these gaps here. I need more movies.
Yeah.
Same. I need more movies because I know that time's coming where they're not going to be there, and I'm like, I have to get more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's the thing. We never know when these things are going to get taken off of these streaming services, and
yeah,
I can't keep up with them. I can't. You know, I'd rather pay, you know, $10 or $15 or whatever and own it and have a really nice thing, and then get stuff on that I'm not going to see online. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that to me is why I love owning it. And again, just having the artwork. There's that new Hellraiser box set that just came out, and it's such a beautiful case. You know, it pulls out, and there's like, you can see the like flesh underneath.
Oh,
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
Oh, my bank account is not going to like me later. All right.
Not that much. Right. It was a lot more. It's like, I think it's like $60 on Amazon now, but they have.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
But it's an awesome
okay. Well, on that note, since we're talking about movies, Carter,
I was going to say,
got the
about movies.
There we go.
Man, I want that box set now. Holy cow. All right. So Matt, what we do at the end of the show is we like to pick one movie and one snack or drink, just what we would do for a movie night. But before we pick, Chris has to take us someplace with a song.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay, all right.
Your turn.
Movie night with the Gorecast. Let's go.
Yay!
I love it.
It's picking time when you hear that
Sorry.
song, kids.
Yep.
All right,
So-
Matt.
Yep.
Since you're our guest, if you would go first, please.
Movie night. Perfect movie night would be Pumpkinhead for sure. Maybe double with Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Jaeger bombs all the way.
Oh my gosh.
Or although I had a couple of those last night and I didn't feel anything. I was trying to get a little buzz going and it just gave me a hangover. And pizza. Some really good greasy pizza, some Jaeger bomb, Pumpkinhead. Oh my god. Messed me up.
Oh wow.
That sounds immaculate. I love it.
With
So-
the orange lights on, you gotta have the Halloween lights on.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. You got to set the atmosphere,
Yeah.
So
Can't watch a horror movie with the lights on. That's stupid.
No.
I'm gonna piggyback off yours. I'm gonna go Halloween too. My pick, Night of the Demons. Love Night of the Demons. Great
Huh?
Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
What's wrong with you? You love that movie?
The
It's
original,
good!
yes, not the remake.
Oh.
Oh, the remake's so
The remake's good too. Thank you, Matt.
Oh.
Thank you.
good.
Somebody's on my side.
I'm sorry, Edward Furlong. I cannot take you. Sorry.
He's in that.
And so I'm probably gonna get even more hate now. My snack's gonna be candy corn. I fucking love candy corn. So
Then eat a candle, dude.
oh,
Just eat an orange candle.
hit me up.
That's all that is an orange candle without the wick.
Everybody listening knows where my socials are. Go in my
Oh.
DMs and yell at me for candy corn. I will stand. Oh, I love candy corn, but it's going with the movies. It's the Halloween and drink wise, I don't know. Probably the sparkling ice black raspberry that I got right next to me because I didn't think about a drink. It's just
I
the
didn't
close
think
thing
about it
next to me.
either.
So that's my Night of the Demons, candy corn, and black raspberry sparkling ice. Sorry, I had to look
Okay.
at it again. So those are my
Solid
three.
picks.
Chris?
All right. So since we're going on this Halloween theme, I gotta go with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
Man, that's just such a great movie. I love it. It took me some years to get into it because I was like, oh, there's no Michael Myers, boo. And then I watched it again as an adult and I was like, man, was I fucking wrong? This is beautiful. This is amazing.
Great movie.
And
It's
It's
taken
so
so
good.
long for people to love that movie.
Yeah.
it deserves more love. And
It
I'll be the
truly
first one to
does.
say that I was wrong and that movie is so much fun. It's great. I love the folklore in it. The cast is amazing. It's a fun time. And my snack, of course, is going to be sour gummy worms. Because why not sit there and watch the scene where the worms and stuff are coming out while eating worms? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm fucking
You
weird.
have a stronger stomach than me. I don't know if I can do that, man.
I can do it. I'm weird like that though. Like I'll watch something and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do it. That's fine.
No, like I can eat and watch the worst, goriest things, but the whole gummy worms, I just don't think. No, I just don't think I can go there.
I
It's
can see it because I remember watching something about the I think it was a behind the scenes feature of Last House on the Left, the original, and they were talking about how they did the intestines scene and how they used peanut butter and jelly that they put in the thing to look like intestines. And as soon as that was done, I was like, I want a peanut butter and jelly now.
yeah.
So I get it.
Sometimes it works like that. You feel like you're there. You feel like you're there too. Like while the worms and stuff are in the snakes, I'm like,
Oh,
oh, I'm right there with you guys. It's
Was
like-
that
no,
a remake of Last House or the original?
No, the original.
the original.
I don't remember like a whole intestine scene in that one. It's been
It
a
was
while.
like they were she had gotten cut in the stomach, I think, and they were kind of moving along, like nothing like fully coming out, but I think they were just like kind of pushing it along to show how deep they are something. And I guess they said they used like peanut butter and jelly and like a condom or something like that they had stuffed in there to get the effect. And I was like, I want peanut butter and jelly now.
Interesting.
So
No.
it was like a quick scene. Like I said, I haven't seen that movie in so long, and that sticked out because I had the blue DVD back in the day. I just remember watching that special feature, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I felt the same way she did. I'm like, I want peanut butter and jelly now.
With you, I'm bringing my own snacks.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
an old movie named Squirm put me off worms.
Yeah.
I just
Oh God. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
just-
No.
yeah. No, so my pick, I've been in a funny mood, so I'm going to be watching Paul with Simon Pegg and Frost.
I haven't seen
And I feel like that movie needs peach rings, which I'm going with Chris. It's gummy, but it's just super, super coated with sugar. So you're just getting like a mad, mad sugar rush while you're watching this film.
drinks.
And, well, you got to wash it down with whiskey and Coke. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
slowly get numbed out while you're getting a sugar high, watching and laughing
Oh.
with Paul.
No black raspberry sparkling ice, Carter?
Oh, I cannot stand black
If
raspberry.
you put some vodka in there, I'd go with you.
There you go.
I mean, if there's
Dilute
vodka in
the
there, I
actual
might try it, but
There was the one night that we did this, and Carter and Chris, I think she did peach rings, and Carter had gobstoppers. I went to the store and I found the peach rings, but they didn't have gobstoppers at the store that I went to, so I was very upset.
Was that the
I
nerds on the outside, right? The gobstoppers.
think so, right? I haven't had gobstoppers in a long time, so I can't remember what they fully were.
gobstoppers were those multicolored, like each layer was like a different color, and you slowly worked them down.
Kind of like a jawbreaker, kind of.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
smaller version of like a
I'm
jawbreaker.
looking at
But it would start out yellow, blue, orange, like
Yeah.
it just layered down each time to a.
See, it sounds like too much work for me.
Sugar
I'm
ball.
lazy.
I like to fidget, so that whole slowly working your way to it worked for me.
Interesting.
Oh,
Well, Matt,
one of these. Interesting.
we cannot thank you enough for joining us. This a great movie. I watched it last weekend and I absolutely loved it. So we really, really, really appreciate you taking the time and talking with us about the movie, about its upcoming physical release. So a couple of things I want you to let everybody know before we head out is where can people watch Creepy in Death right now? Let everybody know your socials, where they can find you, and merch. Do you got merch that people can buy? And if so, where can they find the merch to wear? And I kind of had a feeling that might have been what was going on because I was talking, he wasn't moving.
Oh no! Did he freeze?
so-
Yeah, he is freezing. Okay.
So we'll just pad a little bit here and see if he rejoins us. We really enjoyed having Matt on. We really hope everybody goes out and checks out the movie.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I know I checked it out on Tubi. I believe it was on Amazon Prime as well right now. So if you want to take a look at it now before it hits physical release, those were definitely the two places that I had seen it.
Let's see.
It's on Screenbox
Tubi.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Tubi, Amazon Prime, with subscription, YouTube Premium.
He just left.
Oh, he left.
Oops.
Yeah, he may have
He
kicked
dropped.
them out.
He sent me a message. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, it's on Screenbox, it's on Tubi, it's on
Sling
Amazon
TV.
Prime. Yeah, Sling TV. So if you want to check it out, it's on those. It's definitely worth the time to check it out. Like I said, it's a beautiful movie. It's beautifully shot, written. Matt just kills it. Taking on so many roles in this movie, and it's truly a love letter to the Halloween season, and it's a fun ride.
If you're wanting to catch him on Instagram to keep up with any of the projects that he's working on, I found it's at Matt, and please say his last name for me so I don't screw it up.
Sampere.
There we go. So you can find him just at Matt Sampere.
Yes, and
And
then
then also he's got Creeping Death Movie if you want to go to follow the movie on Instagram. He's got a couple other Instagram pages. He's a musician too. We didn't even touch on that.
Oh,
You
true.
can find that at Sampere Official. And then his filmmaker Instagram is Sampere.
Productions.
There you go. I was like reading it badly. So
Sampere Productions.
Sampere Productions. That's the production company for him. Matt just continues to, take on all these different roles: director, producer, writer, actor, editor, all of it. And on top of that, the man's also a musician. I mean, it's just incredible to take on so much. Truly is a student of, acquiring more knowledge. It's amazing.
I want that Creeping Death t-shirt that he's wearing. It looks freaking cool.
That is another thing. Matt and his team have come up with a couple of different merch for this movie, which is truly amazing. Like the shirt he was wearing before. What you guys can't see the shirt because clearly we're Spotify.
Right. Words
well,
don't
that means
make
you
pictures.
need to go over to our YouTube because we're going to have the video up on YouTube, so you can see it there. So check it out.
So the merch, on our YouTube, you're going to see it. But he's wearing a Creeping Death shirt, and it's the silhouette of the Ishii on it. And I personally need this shirt, but I also think I need like a NECA, a Funko Pop, or like a Toonie Terror of this Ishii because it's just a fantastic design.
Too many things my bank account is not gonna like me for later.
Right? I'm not, I don't think they actually have those figures for the Ishii, but I'd even settle for just the mask at this point. But
but one can hope if you put it out there, it will eventually come.
He's back.
Yeah. So we were just talking about your shirt, Matt. We were talking about how great. Yeah, for you, but we were. So we were just talking about your shirt, and we think it's amazing. We were just telling people about the merch for the movie. I know there's posters. I think there's, of course, we've got the physical release coming out in May for Creeping Death. So
do we got your audio, or is it working? No, we can't hear you. No.
See, on my side, I don't even have video.
We'll just talk a couple seconds while he's getting that figured out. Like I said, Matt's got a lot of merch. Go ahead.
Oh, there we go. Am I working?
Yeah. We were just talking about your amazing shirt, and we were telling them that, Creeping Death has a lot of really cool merch. Where can people find your merch?
So you can go to creepingdeathmovie.com and you'll see our merch store. We have t-shirts, posters, we have coffee mugs, stickers, keychains, wallets, hoodies, got it all. And we're gonna have the Blu-ray on there soon, maybe with an exclusive slipcover or something. I don't know.
Also,
creepingdeathmovie.com, you'll see a lot of the merch and stuff up there, or any of our socials are Creeping Death Movie on Instagram. So
Carter,
I like your glow in the dark. That's an awesome shirt.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to check out. Like, I wanted to wait until the Blu-ray release to buy everything to have it, because I'm one of those people that if I can buy everything at one point and be like, oh, I've got the Blu-ray, I'm gonna sit here and watch it in the hoodie. I'm that kind of person, but I absolutely love the fact that that's gonna happen. I need to check out your merch and make sure that when the release happens, I get all the merch because I love it. We were talking about if you had a Funko Pop or a NECA or a Toonie Terror of the Ishii, I would totally buy it.
Thank you. I would love, that's the thing, making this monster, I'm like, I don't want to make a monster. I don't want to make this movie unless I have something that's going to look cool on a shelf next to Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, and now Art the Clown. And I have the masks that we used for the movie right next to all of them right there. So
well, I feel like you pulled it off. I feel like you pulled it off because looking through your merch, it looks sick. Like it's
thank you.
Something that It's freaking cool.
To answer your question about the mask, I do have the mold to it, so I could, we have 3 that we used for the movie that are all, one of them's right here. If I could turn my computer, I would. But we have 3 of them, which I have all on my shelf, but I would love to make some because we own the mold. I have that mold, so I'd love to, if there's a demand for it, make some that maybe we could see out, on Halloween next year. Well, this year. It would be, like, the dream would be for like Trick or Treat Studios or somebody to put out an action figure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool.
But I think we need to get the, my goal for this year is start taking, once we have the physical release, going to the cons and really start pushing this and build a wider audience so that people will start to pick this up, because I'm very grateful for what Screenbox has been able to do with this, and, and the audience that's found it now. But, there's still a lot more work to go into this to get it out there so that, there will be more of a demand for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So to make sure people we didn't miss anything, because when you dropped out, we tried to give some of your socials and where to watch it. So let everybody else know if there was anything we missed. Where are your socials? Where can we watch Creeping to Death right now? Let the audience know.
So yeah, the movie right now, it's streaming on Screenbox, Amazon, Tubi, Apple TV. It's everywhere. You type in Creeping Death movie on the internet and you'll find it. So, and right now it's streaming for free on Amazon and Tubi. And you can find me just by looking up my name, Matt Sampere, all over social media. I'm on all the apps. And then Creeping Death movies, where you'll find all the latest updates and stuff with what's going on with the project and what may or may not be coming next. I don't know, because I haven't started any of it
yet. When we'll know.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll know. It's
there we go.
Starting to put some ideas together, so just nothing is concrete yet. I know what I have ideas. I have scenes and stuff of what I would like to see happen in the sequel. But it's going to come down to, like, can I realistically get the budget to do some of these things? And, just because I have scenes doesn't mean I have a whole story fleshed out yet. So it's just figuring out, where do I go with a sequel that doesn't feel forced, but also doesn't feel too, like, I'm trying to think of the word. It doesn't feel too redundant, because the way the ending is set up is that, could I have been crazy this whole time? We see in that final shot that these things are really there. But, the other characters are, I'm imagining are looking at me like I'm the psycho. And it's like going into a sequel, we've seen in like Halloween 2 where Laurie Strode, in the remakes where Laurie Strode, starts getting into addiction and stuff like that and is trying to overcome that because of what happened previously. And it's like, do I do a route like that with this? And now I'm trying to prove my innocence. Do I do something completely out of left field and go Terminator 2 with it? So that's kind of, the toss-up is, what's the story that's really going to... With this first one, once I had that idea, I wrote this thing, like, super quick. I mean, it took me about 4 months to write the script, but, like, I knew exactly where I was going with it. And with this, I'm still just trying to figure it out, and I don't have that solid idea yet that makes me go, yes, this is exactly what I want to tell in a sequel. I have ideas, but there's nothing concrete that says this is the direction it needs to go. So, we'll figure that out.
It's very encouraging that at least it seems like there's a possibility, because love the first one so much. So if there's more, then we will consume it. So you got 3 people here that want more. So
yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
I'm sure all of our audience do too.
Thank you so much, guys. Seriously, it means the world to to hear that people are out there enjoying this and loving it and eating it up, and the support really means everything. Because without that, there's no way I would have continued trying to do this. I would have just let this sit on a hard drive and walked away from it.
Yes. Well, we're happy you didn't, because we loved Creeping Death and we can't wait to see what else you do. Even if it's not the sequel to Creeping Death, we just are excited to see what else you do. I know that I've seen a couple of the music videos that you've done. I know I've watched your Instagram stories to see that you're working on some really cool things. I saw some blood all over the place, and I'm excited to see what that's all about.
Yeah, that project, that's one I wish I could talk more about. But yeah, that I got to be part of a really cool slasher movie that's gonna be coming out. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's gonna be a fun one, that's for sure.
It sucks not being able to share, but then when that moment comes, you're finally able to go, it's here, look.
I know.
You
There's
know.
so many projects I've worked on that are so cool, and like they haven't ever been released, and it's like I can't really tell people about it, but I want to. Like, I want to tell people what I'm working on, but it's like I can't. I was able to work on the Terrifier music video for Ice Nine Kills. It killed me not being able to talk about that for so long, because I was able to meet David Howard Thornton as Art, and and I had these photos with him. I was able to talk to him, and I wanted to tell people about what I couldn't.
Yeah.
Quiet. So
he's such a great guy, though.
He
Yeah,
really
he
is.
It's the pros and cons of the business. You get to do really cool stuff that you might not be able to talk about for a while.
That's where I'm at right now, and
It's eating you alive. I see it. It's like,
don't worry, audience. We'll poke at him after the interview's over. See if we can get any off the record. No, joking.
Some stuff.
Yeah. We thank you so much for being on. I don't know if you guys have any last things you want to say to Matt and everybody before we head off.
No, just thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you guys for taking the time to have me on. I appreciate it.
Well, we have this episode will be coming out March 12th, this Wednesday. So we also will have the video on YouTube. Normally I do clips from the episodes, but I think I'm going to put the whole interview up on English, the whole video up on YouTube. There we go. Those are the words that I tried to have come out of my mouth. Probably next day. Check out everybody's socials. We'll probably be tossing clips and this and that. And our next episode we'll be doing towards the end of March. We'll get into that later. That's not really a worry right now. So we thank Matt for being on with us. Everybody go watch Creeping Death now. Go watch Creeping Death when it comes out on physical. Get it all. Go to the store. Get his merch. That fucking t-shirt is amazing. I'm probably going to get it. Thank you, Matt. Like I said, we really appreciate you coming on. And until next time, I'm going to do it, guys. Gorecast out, motherfuckers.
Bye.
Bye.
What the? Haven't you seen this article? No, what? Gorecast gone stale. What? Have the diabolically devious duo lost their funny bone? Funny bone? I think they're trying to say we aren't humorous anymore. Humorous? We're humorous. We're not humorous. I'll show them humorous. That's a bad joke, by the way. Assemble me the most ragtaggiest bunch of horror miscreants ever to be assembled under one horror banner.
Big Daddy Buzz, video store clerk, proclaimed rent master and keys aficionado.
Be able to, pull that off.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I gotta go.
Carter, video rental guru, overseer of horror law, collector of horror artifacts.
Hold on. Now, phone. Start without me.
The Giz, media librarian and radio DJ, can recall TV shows, cartoons, and movies that are decades old. Can't remember what he had for dinner yesterday.
Can't even take a shower in peace without that thing going off. Whoa!
Big Brian Bumford, ex-wrestler, headlock expert, and world-renowned hardcore spin doctor.
What the? Wow! 2006, 7, 2008 are going to need No. Oh, I'll show them horror. I'll show them the humor. Show myself in the Giz and everybody else this Sunday, 8:30 p.m. CST, and whatever that equates to as GMTs, only on American Horrors. We're going to be trying to break through the mysteries of the Nomi cabin. Buzz and Carter are going to be reviewing a whole bunch of fog. And we intend to have a bunch of funny sketches for you. Yeah, funny sketches this Sunday, 8:30 p.m. CST, only on American Horrors. We're out. Boing.